Hello and welcome back to my channel and welcome to my next build. For my next build, I'll be constructing a 1/30-foot scale house in a style from the late 1700s, early 1800s. This is based on a historical house near me here in New York City that I recently visited, well not too recently, probably several months back, that I visited and I was inspired to construct this. Now for this build, I'll be using silicone molds from a company called Diorama Debris. They make various different molds for various different architectural details that you can use in a build. The one here I'm going to show you first is just like a really main basic one, which is the brick wall section. And this is what it looks like once casted, and this is the actual silicone mold. And like I mentioned, they make lots of different molds, and I'll be using various different molds for this project. But before I show you the molds and the mold making, I just want to show you my sketching, as you see here in the background, of the concept that I came up with of the house. Alright, so hold on. Alright, so this is one of these sketches that I did in coming up with the concept of the actual house. These are using this brick wall as a standard guide. These are the nominal measurements of it, and this is what it comes out to be in real life. So the walls are almost 10 feet wide, almost 7 feet high, and they're about 4.5 inches in width and thickness here. Alright, so what I had devised was using 5 sections across and 2 sections up. So the 2x2 squares on either end will give me the 2 main rooms, chambers per floor, and then the 1x2 in the middle will give me the staircase, the front door, and back door opening. Now here you see this is B for basement. So what I have stored here is for storage, stairs going down, and this is the kitchen. And a lot of the older buildings from the late 17th and early 18th century, I saw that they had the kitchen in the basement. So that's what I'm going to be doing here. Have the kitchen in the basement, then you're going to have the kitchen fireplace, hearth, cooking fireplace there. Then upstairs for the first and second floor, you can go up the stairs, you have the landing, and then you're going to have 2 chambers either side, each one with fireplaces. So on the ground floor, one will be the parlor, one can be the dining area, and on the second floor there'll be sleeping chambers, and then you'll have the attic upstairs. And here's another little sketch, same thing. I am itemizing all the different, showing all the different wall panels that I would need to use for this. So the basement is just going to be 1 panel high, and then this first and second floor are going to be 1.5 of these panels high. Okay, so I'm going to be using 1, 2, 3, 4 panels high, and then I'm going to have the attic constructed. Okay, so that's my sketch, and using that and the measurements, I went on the computer and I did this other sketch, a little bit more colorful, to give me a better idea of what I'm building. So you see the front elevation, you got the middle front door, stairs leading to it, windows for the basement, and then the windows for the chambers and the landing, and then the attic in there. And you got the side elevations, left and right. Then you got the back elevation, where you're going to have a little door here to the basement, then the back door, and then the window for the landing on top. And this is a sample floor layout. Again, just a little bit more, slightly more detail, just for me as a reference to follow. Okay, so next up I'll show you how to make one of these molds. Alright, welcome back. So let me show you the steps that I use for casting these molds. So we have the stretcher bond wall mold here. We obviously need some casting powder. In this case I am using the Hydrostone plaster. I actually got this off of Amazon, and I'll have an affiliate link down below if you'd like to take a look or purchase it yourself. We have obviously a scale for weighing, various little measuring cups, rinse agent for washing our mold beforehand, and another tub here for washing our mold afterwards. Also, you need, I'm using here a little scraper This is a cheap and expensive scraper, so we're going to use this to level off our mold after we cast it. All right, so first up we want to measure, and what you want to do is take the cup, zero it out, and then measure your ingredients. Now I already pre-measured my water, and the ratio for this is approximately 2 to 1, 2 parts of the plaster, 1 part water. So for this mold it's about 28 grams, give or take. So I need about 14 grams of liquid, which is what's in here. Discrepancies that I already had zeroed this out before. So this should give me about 14. If you're off by a gram or two, it doesn't really matter too much. So we have a water. Now we need our dry ingredient. And again, zero this out. We're gonna take some plaster, which I have here in this little tub. And pardon me, since I'm doing this with the camera in front of me, it makes it a little hard. So we're just gonna carefully measure out 28 grams of the powder. Now, since this is a very fine powder, I would recommend wearing some type of face mask. Since I'm talking on the camera, I do not. This is a little bit more. That should be it. All right. I'll take this and close it up. See it well. Now I'm going to put that down. I'm going to put my scale off to the side. And again, since I have the camera in here, I'm doing this slightly different than what I would normally do. I would have a nice, good, clear workspace here, but just for demonstration purposes. All right, so we measure our water, we measure our powder. Now, if you want a little bit of color in here, like that sample, you can use any type of pigment. For example, those Vallejo pigments you can use. In my case, I'm using this pigment that I bought in bulk offline. This is actually called, and you can just add a little bit to it in the water. It's like so. Okay, seal this up. Now, when adding this, swirl this around a little bit. When mixing these, you always add the powder to the water. Never add water to the powder. And you just want to add it in very slowly, or somewhat slowly. Because ideally, what you want is the water, the plaster, to absorb the water. You don't want to get major clumps in here. So what I tend to do is measure part of it, tap it down a little bit. And tap the rest in there. And let that soak up the water. Now, while that's soaking up, what I want to do is wash clean my mold. So I already have some water here with some of the wrist agent, and I'm just going to put it in there. Give it a nice, good bath in there. Make sure all that gets in all the nooks and crannies. And again, the purpose of this is to make sure to eliminate or help eliminate air bubbles and so that once you pour the plaster in here, it flows nice and evenly and breaks any surface tension that you have. And shake off or tap off some of the exit. And I have it placed here on this little glass plate made for putting your hot plates in your kitchen. But in this case, I find it works well for me. I mean, you can use a tile or any flat area, really. All right, so I have that. This has done its thing. I'm going to mix it up. And I'm just using this little metal sculpting tool here. You can use a brush, spoon, anything of that nature. And you want to stir it. You don't want to beat it up. You don't want to get any air bubbles really in here. You just want to make sure everything is well. Apologies, I like to go off camera here. And now, as I mentioned, there's lots of different molds I'll be using for this build, so I will be doing this process for each one of the different molds, so you can see how I do each one, how each one works. Alright, so that's well incorporated. Now, what you want to do is pour this into the mold. What I like to do is pour the skinny ones first, and then do the main one. And I like to do the edges where those little teeth are. And those are going to be the connecting points. And then pour the rest. And you see I'm pouring it from one to the other end, getting out any water from the mold. And what you want to do is make sure that you're nicely covered your mold. Now I think I probably poured mixed a little bit too more than I needed in here, but it's better to have a little bit more than not enough. And now as far as this, once I'm done, I have another little tub here to wash these. So you don't want to be washing these in your sink. You don't want to clog up your sink with the plaster. And this will harden in the water. So right now I just want to wash these out and leave it there. I'll clean those in a bit. All right, so once it's here, what I do is I tap. So I want to get any air bubbles that might be in there trapped. I want to get it out. You can also lift it up slightly and tap it like that on the table. I can also take this implement that I used to mix it in. I also run it inside the mold. Help get any bubbles out. Make sure all the nooks and crannies are filled, as you see there. Just wipe this off. And again, just okay. So what we do next is we're just going to leave this settle here. Let it settle. There'll be a skim over, and then we're going to use this to take off the excess plaster. So I'll be back in a few minutes. All right, so here we are about 5 or so minutes later. The plaster started to set and skim over. So using a flat straight edge, in this case I'm just using a paint scraper, and you can use anything like this, either metal or plastic, as long as it's a nice and clean edge here. And we're just gonna go, I usually go from one corner to the next and just go across nice and gently. And there you go. Then I'll take that, I'll wipe it off. As you can see also, I have plenty of paper towels out to absorb any liquid, any spills, any of this material. Then I'll go the opposite way. And that's it. Now, clean this off, wipe it off, set it down. So now what I do, I'll let this dry for a few minutes, and we'll be back. Hello, and we're back. Actually, it's been a couple of hours, kind of lost track of time. Well, everything here is dry now, and as you can see, little scrapings here. Some of these scrapings is probably good just to keep around. You can use it for debris for another diorama. Crumble it up. Anyway, so let's get this out of here. Now, one thing I would say about this when you're taking this out is to be very careful, especially with these smaller 1 brick wide columns here. They're very easily to break. Now what I do is just very gently crack this, as you see here. And by cracking, I mean just very easily, gently tease this out of the mold. And I would recommend taking these out first before taking out the middle one, if you're going to be using these. Again, just very teasy. The secret to this is 1, make sure this is fully dry. 2, just very gently tease these out, just like that. That's 1. I'll do the other one. And again, I'm doing this with a camera right in front of me, so it makes it a little bit harder to do, but not impossible. Again, just gently tease these out. There you go. And now for the big one, just crack on both sides and easily peel it right off. And there you go. And there is our brick wall. And now that we cast them, I'm going to give you a nice look at it. As you see, by using the liquid rinse agent, that helps eliminate any bubbles. Although, if you look carefully, there's a few little bubbles right here. So I probably didn't do a good job on that. And it's not that bad really, because it just kind of gives characters to the wall. I mean, most brick facades will have some type of defects on them, especially if they're older and whatnot. But if you're trying to have a perfect wall, that's just something to keep in mind. Be careful when you're doing this. Alright. There's the back side. And look at the thin ones here. All in one piece. Alright, so that's my molding. And then what I take with this, what I do is I'll just brush off or scrape off all the extras here, and then wash this and get ready for the next one. I'm just gently scraping this. And then just put it in the water to clean. Alright, so that's basically the steps that we take to do this. And stay tuned for the next part. Well, I will talk about the base for this building that I'm constructing, and putting together the basement. All right. Thank you all for watching.